The Earthship Endeavour was one of the most advanced vessels ever built. It was designed to explore deep space, far beyond the borders of known colonies. For years, it carried a crew of 30 brave men and women, each trained for a mission no one else dared to attempt. Their goal was simple but dangerous: to find new planets that could support life and bring hope to Earth, which was crowded and struggling. The Endeavour left Earth with great hope. Families waved goodbye, the world watched on giant screens, and leaders promised support for the mission. The ship was equipped with powerful engines, the latest technology, and a strong crew. All seemed ready for success. For the first few months, the mission went well. The crew sent back amazing reports about strange stars, new asteroids, and small planets. They collected data and samples, all without trouble. Everyone was proud. The ship was far from Earth, but the connection was steady. Then, one day, everything changed. The last message from the Endeavour came without warning. It was a short, strange report that made scientists and leaders worry. The captain's voice was calm but urgent. Something unusual. Near the star system X-57. We are investigating. No danger yet. More information soon. After that, silence. Days passed. The Endeavour did not respond. Earth tried again and again to contact the ship, but there was no answer. The deep space signals seemed to disappear. The crew was missing. The Empire's fleet was sent to search, but the area showed nothing. No wreckage, no signals, no signs of the ship. It was as if the Endeavour had simply vanished into thin air. People were confused and scared. How could a powerful ship disappear without trace? The Empire's top scientists tried to explain, but no theory fit all the facts. Was it a technical failure, a hidden attack, or something else? Rumors spread quickly. Some said the crew was captured by aliens. Others believed the ship had entered a mysterious space anomaly. Theories grew more wild with each day. The media called it the greatest space mystery of the century. For the families of the crew, the silence was the hardest. They waited and hoped, but no news came. They asked the government for answers, but were told only that the search was ongoing. Some refused to give up. They believed their loved ones were alive somewhere, lost in the vast universe. Inside the Empire, fear grew. The disappearance challenged their belief in control and safety. The Empire prided itself on power and knowledge. Losing a ship like the Endeavour was a shame and a secret they wanted to solve quickly. Meanwhile, deep in space, something watched. Unseen by the Empire or the crew, a silent force moved near the last known position of the Endeavour. It was strange and powerful, unlike any technology the Empire had. This force held secrets, answers, and dangers. No one knew it then, but the story of the Endeavour was far from over. The ship's disappearance was only the beginning of a greater mystery, one that would shake the Empire and change the future of humanity. Years had passed since the Endeavour disappeared. Earth and the Empire never stopped searching, but each mission ended in disappointment. Families of the missing crew had aged, and some had lost hope. Scientists still studied the last messages from the ship, trying to find a clue, but the signals had been too faint, too strange. Every lead ended in nothing. Then, one quiet morning, alarms rang out across the Empire's space command. On the long-range sensors, a familiar shape appeared. A ship. It was the Endeavour. At first, everyone thought it was a mistake. How could the ship reappear after so many years? Even stranger, it was in perfect condition. The hull showed no damage, the engines were intact, and the ship drifted as if nothing had happened. Scientists, military leaders, and politicians rushed to the control room. Everyone stared in disbelief. The ship that had vanished without a trace had returned. A team was quickly assembled to board the Endeavour and investigate. No one knew what they would find. Would the crew be alive? Would the ship carry unknown dangers? As the boarding team approached, the ship's doors opened slowly, without any signal from the Empire's systems. The airlock hissed, releasing a strange mist that glowed faintly. The crew stepped inside cautiously, weapons ready, scanners active. The interior looked normal at first, chairs in place, corridors empty, instruments blinking as if waiting for someone. But something felt off. The air was too still, too clean, and the ship seemed almost alive in its silence. In the control room, the captain's chair was empty, and the log screens showed no new entries. It was as if time had stopped inside the ship. Every corridor echoed with the footsteps of the boarding team, but no sound of life came back. They split into groups, moving through each deck, checking engines, living quarters, and laboratories. Nothing seemed broken, but nothing explained the ship's disappearance either. Then one of the teams reached the main laboratory. There, they found something unusual. A device unlike any known technology. It floated in mid-air, glowing softly, as if powered by its own energy. When the sensors touched it, it reacted, sending waves of light and sound that made the crew stumble. No one could identify it. It wasn't human, not even Empire-made. The team reported back, "This is beyond our understanding. It's not from our technology." Back on the Empire's control station, leaders debated what to do. Some wanted to destroy the ship immediately, fearing a threat. Others argued for caution. The Endeavor had returned without warning, and its secrets might be valuable. Every moment, tension grew. The unknown device inside the ship seemed to pulse, as if aware of observers. As night fell on the observation decks, strange readings appeared on the scanners. The ship emitted signals that no one could decode. They repeated in patterns like a message, but the meaning was hidden. Scientists tried to analyze it, but it was unlike any communication protocol known to the Empire. It was clear. The Endeavor carried secrets, secrets that could change everything. Outside the ship, the stars seemed to shift strangely. Observers noted small flashes of light, like the ship was surrounded by invisible energy. The Empire's fleet grew uneasy. Some pilots whispered that the Endeavor had changed while it was gone, that it was no longer just a ship. It had become something else, something powerful and unknown. Inside the ship, the boarding team made one more discovery. Hidden in a secret compartment, they found a small capsule with a faint energy signature. When opened, it revealed a recording device. The screen flickered and the captain's face appeared, though aged differently than expected. His voice was calm, but attention underlined every word. "If anyone finds this, we have encountered something beyond our knowledge. It is not hostile, but it is powerful. We do not know how it works, but it saved us. And it is returning. Be careful. Trust no one, but do not destroy what you do not understand." The message ended abruptly. The crew exchanged nervous glances. The mystery of the Endeavor had grown deeper. It had returned, yes, but it brought more questions than answers. What had the captain meant by "it is returning"? Who or what had saved the crew? And most importantly, what was waiting for the Empire if they tried to control the ship? The boarding team left the lab, the device still glowing as if alive. Every step they took echoed through the empty corridors. Silence returned, but the feeling of being watched remained. Something was inside the ship, something that no one could see. And for the first time, the Empire realized that the Endeavor had not simply returned. It had changed. As the fleet prepared to take the ship back to Earth, alarms rang again. Sensors detected a surge of energy from the device, spreading through the ship. Lights flickered, the hull hummed with a strange resonance, and the crew felt a sudden chill. The Endeavor seemed to respond to their presence. It was as if the ship had a mind of its own, waiting to decide who it would allow inside. and who it would reject. That night, on the observation deck of the fleet command ship, leaders stared at the drifting vessel in silence. They had expected answers, but instead they faced more questions. The Endeavor was back. The crew might be alive, but whatever had returned with it was beyond imagination. Somewhere inside the ship, the strange device pulsed again, casting light across the empty corridors. The Empire could feel its power, but no one could touch it. The message was clear. The Endeavor had returned, but it was no longer just a ship. It was a mystery, and in the darkness of space, mysteries were dangerous. As the fleet prepared to bring the ship home, no one knew that this was only the beginning. The return of the Endeavor would change everything: the Empire, Earth, and the fate of the universe itself. Something had waited in the shadows of space for years, and now it was awake. The universe had its first warning, and the story of the Endeavor was far from over. The Endeavor drifted silently in space, its engines idle, yet it seemed alive. The boarding team had barely begun to explore the ship when the true mystery revealed itself. Deep within the engineering deck, they discovered devices that no human mind could easily understand. They floated without support, glowing softly, pulsing with energy that seemed almost conscious. The crew stared in awe. "Sir, these instruments, they aren't like anything we've seen before," said Lieutenant Mara, her voice trembling. She reached out, and the device responded, moving slightly toward her hand as if curious. The lead scientist, Dr. Kale, adjusted his scanners, trying to classify the technology. It didn't match any known physics. The energy readings were unstable, almost sentient. "It's alive," he whispered. Or pretending to be alive. In one corner of the lab, a small orb hovered above a console, rotating in a rhythm. That seemed to mimic breathing. When a crew member tried to touch it, a wave of light passed through their body. It wasn't harmful, but it made them see strange visions, stars bending in impossible directions, flashes of planets that didn't exist, and glimpses of something vast watching them. The visions lasted only seconds, but the crew felt shaken. This is beyond our Empire's knowledge," said Captain Rylan, his voice steady but serious. "Whatever brought this ship back, it's here, and it's not human." The team moved cautiously, scanning every corner of the deck. Another device, resembling a console with strange, translucent screens, lit up as they approached. Symbols appeared that no one could decipher. Each symbol seemed to shift, changing shape when someone tried to focus on it. It was as if the ship itself was alive, testing the crew, observing them. Suddenly, the lights in the room dimmed. A low hum filled the corridors. The floating devices synchronized their glow, casting strange patterns on the walls. Crew members felt a pull, subtle but undeniable, drawing them toward the center of the lab. No one spoke, but their hearts pounded. The technology wasn't passive. It was aware of their presence. Dr. Kale activated his portable scanner. The readings went off the charts. "This is impossible," he murmured. The energy signatures didn't match any element known to humanity. It was pure power, concentrated, intelligent, and beyond comprehension. "It's not just a tool," he said. "It's a weapon, or a protector, or maybe both." Lieutenant Mara noticed a strange pattern on the orb's surface. Lines. That seemed to form a map. She tried tracing them with her finger, and suddenly a holographic projection appeared in midair. It showed a star system unknown to the Empire, with planets orbiting in ways that defied science. A glowing path connected one of the planets to the Endeavor. "The ship. It's showing us something," she said. "It wants us to see, or to go there." Captain Ryland's brow furrowed. "If this ship can guide us, where is it leading?" His voice echoed in the silent lab. The crew looked at each other nervously. The Endeavor had returned, yes, but now it seemed to have its own purpose. Something had changed it, and whatever that was, it had plans that no one could understand. The team continued exploring, and more strange devices revealed themselves. One console displayed what looked like an artificial brain with energy pulses, traveling along invisible paths. When they touched it lightly, it sent a wave of information directly into their minds. They saw flashes of distant galaxies, alien civilizations, and weapons beyond imagination. Every crew member staggered back, stunned by the visions. "It's showing us possibilities," Dr. Kale said. "Not just reality, but what could be. Future events, past events, something outside time." The ship's systems hummed in response, almost as if it acknowledged their understanding. It was communicating, but not in words. It used images, emotions, and energy pulses. The crew realized the ship itself had become a bridge to knowledge that no human could fully comprehend. As night fell in the observation decks of the Empire's fleet, the mystery grew. The Endeavor was no longer just a ship. It was alive, intelligent, and holding secrets that could change the course of the Empire or destroy it. Every crew member felt a mix of fear and awe. They were not just explorers anymore. They were witnesses to something that defied everything they had known. Captain Rylan made a decision. "We proceed carefully," he said. "We learn what we can, but we do not touch more than necessary. This ship, this technology, it is powerful, and we are not ready for it." Yet deep inside the corridors of the Endeavor, the devices pulsed with a quiet energy, almost like a heartbeat. They waited. They watched. They knew the crew's every thought, every movement. And somewhere, in the hidden depths of the ship, the first true secret of the Endeavor was awakening. A power that even the Empire could not imagine, and a force that would decide whether humanity was ready for the universe's greater mysteries. The return of the Endeavor had revealed one truth. The universe was not safe, and the ship was not just lost technology. It was a key to knowledge, power, and danger beyond anything the Empire had ever faced. And the crew knew one thing for certain. The story of the Endeavor had only just begun. The boarding team of the Endeavor had explored almost every deck, but the ship still held secrets that no scanner could reveal. In a small hidden compartment near the captain's quarters, Lieutenant Mara discovered a storage unit unlike the others. It was sleek, metallic, and seemed almost invisible until her hand brushed against it. With a soft click, it opened, revealing a single small device, a personal log recorder, glowing faintly as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. Captain Rylan carefully picked it up. "This might be what explains everything," he said. The crew gathered around as the screen flickered to life, showing the familiar face of the Endeavor's captain. His uniform looked slightly older than expected, and his eyes were tired but determined. He spoke slowly, as though recording a message for the future, and for anyone who might find it. "If anyone finds this log," the captain began, "you need to understand what happened to us. The Endeavor was never truly lost. We encountered something beyond human knowledge. It was not hostile at first, but it changed everything. The ship is no longer just ours. It belongs to something greater." The crew leaned closer, hanging on every word. The captain's voice trembled slightly as he continued, describing events that had occurred after the last message sent to Earth. He spoke of strange lights near a dying star and of signals that seemed alive. He explained that the ship's systems had begun to operate independently, following coordinates that no human had entered. The stars they saw from those coordinates did not exist on any known map. "We found a structure," the captain said, a vast formation in space, not natural, not built by humans. It seemed alive. It communicated without words, through light and energy. At first it frightened us, but we realized it was guiding us, protecting us. It saved us from the collapse of a star that should have destroyed the ship. The crew of the Empire listened in stunned silence. Every word raised more questions than answers. How could a ship be guided by an unknown force? How could it survive the death of a star? And most importantly, why had it returned to known space now, after so many years? The captain continued, explaining that the mysterious force had also given them knowledge. The ship's technology, once purely human, now seemed to have a life of its own. Devices repaired themselves, systems optimized without input, and tools appeared where none had been stored. It was as if the ship had become a living organism, adapting to survive and learn. "Do not underestimate this," the captain warned in the log. "The power we encountered is not human. It may be helpful, but it is not ours. Treat it with respect. It can create, it can destroy, and it can see into things we do not yet understand. If it is angered, it will not forgive." He paused, glancing at something off-screen, his voice growing quieter. "I do not know if we will ever return, but the ship is coming back. It is following the path it has chosen, and it will bring us, or anyone who dares board it, to something that changes everything. Trust no one completely, and do not act recklessly. What you do now will shape the future." The message ended, abruptly, leaving the boarding team staring at the silent screen. The words hung in the air, heavy with warning and mystery. No one spoke at first. Even the hum of the ship felt quieter, as if listening to their reactions. Lieutenant Mara broke the silence. Did he mean the ship chose where to go? Not the crew? Her voice was soft, but filled with awe. Captain Ryland nodded slowly. Yes. The ship, or whatever is guiding it, has a mind of its own, and now it has chosen to return. We are part of its plan whether we like it or not. Dr. Kale stepped forward, scanning the room with his portable device. If this technology is alive in any sense, it may also be sending signals, messages we cannot yet read. The captain might have understood some, but we are just beginning to see the full picture. The team moved carefully, deciding to take the log with them. It was not just a record of events. It was a warning, a guide, and possibly a key to understanding the Endeavor's mysteries. Each crew member felt the weight of responsibility. They were no longer just explorers. They were witnesses to knowledge and power beyond the Empire's comprehension. The hidden corridors of the ship seemed to hum quietly, as if acknowledging the log had been found. The devices and glowing orbs pulsed gently, casting strange patterns on the walls. The Endeavor sat silently in the Empire's fleet, but the quiet was only on the surface. Deep within its systems, a faint pulse began to emit from the strange devices discovered earlier. It was subtle at first, barely detectable by the most sensitive scanners. Then, slowly, the pulse grew stronger, sending signals into the vast darkness of space. Dr. Kale and the team quickly noticed the anomaly. "Captain, there's a repeating signal coming from the ship," he said, eyes wide. The signal was structured, rhythmic, but completely alien. It did not match any known language or code used by humans or the Empire. "This isn't random," he added. "Someone, or something, is trying to communicate." The fleet command room buzzed with tension. Experts worked around the clock to decode the signal. Each attempt failed. The patterns were too complex, too strange. It seemed as if the signal carried more than information, almost emotions or intentions. It pulsed in ways that made the crew feel uneasy, as if it knew they were listening. Lieutenant Mara felt a chill every time the signal repeated. "It's like it's alive," she whispered to Dr. Kale. "Like it's watching us." The Empires. Scientists were divided. Some believed it was an automated system of the Endeavor, perhaps left by the mysterious force that had guided it. Others feared it was a warning, a threat from an unknown intelligence. Every day without answers increased. The tension. Every failed attempt to decode the signal felt like the ship was testing them. Then, something unexpected happened. The signal suddenly changed. The patterns shifted faster, brighter, almost urgent. Screens around the fleet flickered with strange symbols. Even the experienced crew felt disoriented. Some reported brief visions, flashes of alien worlds, cities made of light, creatures that defied description. The signal was no longer just a message. It was an experience. Captain Rylan ordered the fleet to hold position. "We do not provoke it," he said firmly. "We listen, we observe, and we do not act without understanding." But even he could not hide his unease. The signal was powerful. It seemed to reach into the minds of those aboard, nudging thoughts and stirring emotions. Dr. Kale, obsessively analyzing the signal, discovered something alarming. The patterns repeated in ways that suggested the Endeavor itself was responding. It was as if the ship had become a transmitter, receiving and sending the signal simultaneously. The line between the Endeavor and the unknown intelligence was disappearing. "Captain, it's learning," Dr. Kale said, voice trembling. "Or it's teaching us something." Meanwhile, the crew noticed subtle changes in the ship. Lights shifted colors unpredictably, floating devices moved in patterns that mirrored the signal, and the air seemed charged with energy. Every deck of the Endeavor seemed alive, as if reacting to the alien communication. The Empire's leaders debated whether to continue trying to understand or to cut off the signal. Some argued it was too dangerous, that whatever was out there could manipulate them further. Others believed that the signal could be the key to understanding the ship and its strange technology. The tension grew with each passing hour. One night, as the fleet maintained position near the Endeavor, the signal suddenly intensified. It formed a map, a projection in the space around the ship. Stars and planets unknown to the Empire appeared, connected by glowing paths. It was a guide, pointing to a distant sector of the galaxy. Lieutenant Mara stepped closer to the display. "It wants us to follow it," she said. Her voice was a mix of fear and wonder. "It's leading us somewhere, but why?" Captain Rylan studied the projection silently. The answer was unclear, but the risk was undeniable. Whoever, or whatever, was sending the signal had the power to guide or manipulate them. The Endeavor had returned, not just with technology, but with a connection to something beyond the Empire's understanding. As the fleet prepared for the next move, the signal pulsed again, stronger than before. It was a reminder. The Endeavor was not just a lost ship. It was a key, a mystery, and a bridge to something vast, powerful, and entirely unknown. The universe had begun to speak, and now the Empire had no choice but to listen. And somewhere deep inside the Endeavor, the devices pulsed in perfect harmony with the signal, as if waiting for the crew to take the next step. The adventure, the danger, and the secrets were only just beginning. The Endeavor continued to drift silently, but the calm was only an illusion. While the Empire's fleet analyzed the alien signal, sensors detected movement in the nearby sector of space. Small, sleek ships appeared on the scanners, unidentified, fast, and unlike anything in the Empire's database. They did not respond to hails or communication attempts. Captain Rylan ordered the fleet to raise shields and maintain position. "Do not engage unless necessary," he instructed. "We don't know who or what they are." The boarding team inside the Endeavor felt tension ripple through the ship. The floating devices glowed brighter, almost as if warning them of the approaching vessels. The visitors moved with precision, circling the Endeavor in a cautious but unmistakable pattern. Their technology seemed advanced, faster, sleeker, and more dangerous than the Empire's best ships. Each movement was calculated, as if the visitors were studying the Endeavor, or perhaps testing the humans themselves. Lieutenant Mara observed through the observation deck windows. "They're waiting," she whispered. "It's like they know we're here." Her voice trembled, but her curiosity outweighed her fear. The team felt the same unease that had been growing since the ship's return. This encounter was unexpected, and no one knew the visitors' intentions. Dr. Kale scanned the vessels with portable instruments. "The energy readings, they're similar to the Endeavor's devices," he said, "almost like they are connected or compatible. But this technology is far beyond anything we've seen." The possibility that the visitors were related to the ship's mysterious force sent shivers down everyone's spine. Suddenly, one of the alien ships emitted a pulse that disrupted the scanners and communications of the Empire fleet. Lights flickered, and some crew members reported feeling disoriented. The Endeavor itself pulsed in response, floating devices spinning faster, casting strange patterns across the empty corridors. It was as if the ship recognized the visitors, or sensed the danger they represented. Captain Ryland convened an emergency meeting on the observation deck. "We don't know if these visitors are hostile," he said, "but the Endeavor seems aware of them. We must proceed carefully." The crew nodded, tension gripping their every movement. They realized the stakes had grown higher than ever. The Endeavor was no longer just a lost ship. It had become the center of a much larger mystery. The alien ships began to maneuver closer, surrounding the Endeavor without aggressive action. It was a silent warning, a demonstration of power, or perhaps a test. No weapons fired, yet the tension was palpable. Every crew member felt it. The sense that the visitors were intelligent, aware, and watching their every decision. Dr. Kale suggested caution in approaching the ship's central console. "If they are linked to the alien signal, any sudden action could provoke them. We need to understand what we are dealing with before making a move." The captain agreed, ordering the team to stay alert, but not interfere with the Endeavor's systems more than necessary. Hours passed with little change. The visitors remained in formation, moving with precision that seemed almost ritualistic. Their presence was unsettling, but also mesmerizing. Crew members whispered about the possibilities. Were they friends, enemies, or something in between? And most importantly, did they know more about the Endeavor than the Empire ever could? As night fell across the fleet, the alien ships emitted a subtle light that bathed the Endeavor in an otherworldly glow. The floating devices inside the ship pulsed in perfect harmony with the light, casting shadows and reflections that danced along the walls. It was as if the ship was communicating silently with the visitors, sharing or receiving information beyond human comprehension. Captain Ryland knew one thing for certain. This encounter was only the beginning. The Endeavor had returned, yes, but it had attracted attention from beings or forces far beyond the Empire's understanding. Every decision now carried weight, and every move could trigger events that no one was prepared to face. Somewhere in the shadows of the alien ships, their pilots observed the humans carefully, their intentions hidden. The fleet and the Endeavor were caught in a delicate balance, a silent standoff where curiosity, fear, and power collided. And deep inside the Endeavor, the mysterious devices continued to pulse, aware of the visitors, aware of the humans, and ready for whatever would come next. The universe was no longer quiet. Unexpected visitors had arrived, and the true story of the Endeavor, its technology, its secrets, and its destiny, was about to take a turn that no one could have predicted. The Endeavor had revealed some of its mysteries, yet its core remained unexplored. Captain Ryland gathered a small team to investigate the heart of the ship, where the energy readings were strongest. The corridors leading to the core glowed faintly, illuminated by the floating devices that had guided them since they boarded. Each step seemed heavier than the last, as if the ship itself sensed their approach. Lieutenant Mara led the way, scanning every panel and wall for anomalies. "The energy here, it's different," she said, her voice echoing slightly. "It's stronger, almost alive." Dr. Kale nodded, his portable scanner beeping wildly. "The readings are off the charts. This is beyond any technology known to the Empire." As they entered the core chamber, they were met with a sight that left them speechless. The room was vast, circular, and lined with translucent panels glowing with shifting light. At the center floated a massive device, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. The device emitted waves of energy that seemed to fill the entire ship, vibrating through walls, floors, and even the crew themselves. This is the source," Dr. Kale whispered, awestruck. "Everything we've seen, all the strange devices, the signal, the ship itself, it comes from here." Lieutenant Mara stepped closer, noticing patterns in the energy. They weren't random. They formed shapes, symbols, and connections that seemed to respond to the crew's presence. As she moved her hand near the core, a wave of images flashed before her eyes. Distant galaxies, planets she had never seen, and strange structures that defied logic. The device was not just powerful, it was intelligent. Captain Ryland felt a chill run down his spine. "It's alive," he muttered. "Not in the human sense, but aware. It knows we're here." The core pulsed in response. Stronger this time, as if acknowledging his words. The floating devices around the chamber rotated faster, syncing with the core's rhythm. Every movement, every pulse, seemed purposeful. Dr. Kale attempted to touch the core, but a force gently pushed him back. "It's protective," he said, astonished. "It's not letting us interfere directly. It wants to be understood, not controlled." The crew realized the Endeavor was no longer just a ship. It was a vessel guided by something greater, a central intelligence that held the key to its technology and survival. Suddenly, the core emitted a wave of energy that enveloped the team. Each member felt visions and memories that weren't their own. They saw glimpses of civilizations rising and falling, conflicts and discoveries across the universe, and machines far beyond human comprehension. The experience lasted only seconds, but it left the crew shaken, their minds buzzing with new understanding and unanswered questions. "The ship. It's teaching us," Lieutenant Mara said softly, still trying to process the visions. "Or warning us. Maybe both." "Captain," Ryland nodded grimly, "whatever it is, we have to be careful. This power, it can create or destroy, and we are not ready to control it." As the team studied the core, the alien ships from earlier remained outside the Endeavor, silent watchers. It was unclear if they were aware of the crew's proximity to the core, or if they had come simply to monitor the Endeavor. The tension was thick, a silent reminder that the universe was watching, and any wrong move could have consequences. No one was prepared. For hours passed, and the team returned to the observation deck, carrying only their notes and observations. The core's presence lingered in their minds, a powerful reminder that the ship's mysteries were far from solved. The Endeavor was alive, aware, and holding secrets that no human had yet fully grasped. Captain Ryland addressed the crew, his voice steady but filled with weight. "We've seen only a fraction of what this ship can do. The core. It's the heart of the Endeavor, and it has its own purpose. We must respect it, learn from it, and prepare for whatever comes next. This is only the beginning." As night fell over the fleet, the core pulsed once more, sending waves of light and energy through the ship. The Endeavor seemed calm, almost patient. It was waiting for the next step, the next decision, the next moment when the crew would truly understand the power they had discovered. In the darkness of space, the universe held its breath. The secrets in the ship's core were no longer hidden, but they were far from revealed. And the Endeavor's story was only growing more dangerous, more mysterious, and more extraordinary with every passing moment. Even after exploring the Endeavor's core, the boarding team could not shake the feeling that the ship was hiding something else, something critical. Captain Ryland noticed that despite the ship's return, several crew logs were missing, including the records of those who had first explored the strange star systems. Entire sections of data seemed erased, as if the ship itself had decided what could be revealed. Lieutenant Mara felt uneasy. Some of the crew, they aren't here. Their quarters are empty. Even the logs. Gone, she said quietly. Dr. Cale's scanners confirmed it. Vital data and personal effects of some crew members were completely missing, as if they had vanished without a trace. The team quickly realized that the disappearance of the original crew was linked to the ship's strange technology. Floating devices pulsed softly as they passed, almost as if signaling a warning. Captain Ryland knew that the Endeavor's intelligence was selective. It allowed some information to be discovered, while keeping the most dangerous secrets hidden. They moved through the ship. Subtle signs appeared, personal items left behind, half-completed experiments, and messages interrupted mid-recording. The crew could sense a presence that wasn't human, guiding what was revealed and what remained concealed. It was both thrilling and terrifying. Suddenly, one of the boarding teams discovered a hidden compartment deep in the engineering deck. Inside were preserved capsules, each containing a faint energy signature. When Dr. Cale scanned them, he gasped. These are stasis pods, he said. The missing crew, they might still be alive, but in some kind of suspended state. Lieutenant, Mara stepped closer, her hand hovering over one of the pods. A soft glow emanated from within, showing the faint outline of a human form. It's like the ship saved them, she whispered. But why? And why now? Captain Ryland frowned. It seems the ship chose who would survive and when they would return. Whoever designed or controls this technology isn't human. It has a plan, and we are only beginning to understand it. As the team explored further, the stasis pods revealed a chilling pattern. Some crew members had been in stasis for decades, yet they showed no signs of aging. Others had been preserved only for a few months. The ship's intelligence appeared to control time and space within its walls, a power far beyond anything the Empire could comprehend. Dr. Kyle approached one pod cautiously. If the ship brought them back, it did so according to its own rules. We cannot interfere without knowing the consequences. A low hum filled the corridors, and the floating devices pulsed in unison. It was a reminder. The Endeavor had its own will, and its decisions were beyond human understanding. The discovery raised questions that no one could answer. Had the missing crew survived the disappearance by chance? Or had the ship intentionally preserved them, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secrets? The answers were unknown, and every passing minute seemed to increase the tension aboard the ship. Captain Ryland addressed his team in the observation deck. We found part of the truth, but the full story is still hidden. The missing crew, the stasis pods, the ship itself, everything is connected. The Endeavor is not just a vessel. It is alive, it is aware, and it chooses its own path. As night fell over the fleet, the Endeavor pulsed gently, its lights casting strange shadows across the corridors. Somewhere deep within, the preserved crew remained in silent stasis, waiting for the moment when the ship would decide it was time for them to awaken. The mystery of the missing crew was only growing, and the team realized that understanding the Endeavor meant accepting that it had a mind and a plan of its own. The universe seemed to hold its breath. The Endeavor had returned, but its story was far from complete. And the secrets of its missing crew were only the beginning of a journey that could change everything the Empire thought it knew about life, technology, and power. The Endeavor had kept its secrets well, but the stasis pods could not remain silent forever. Late one quiet cycle aboard the ship, a soft hum began to fill the engineering decks. It started as a low vibration, barely noticeable, then grew stronger, resonating through the floors and walls. The floating devices around the pods glowed brighter, their pulses in perfect rhythm with the hum. Lieutenant Mara and Dr. Kale were the first to notice. "Captain, something is happening," Mara whispered, her eyes wide with awe and fear. The team hurried to the pod chamber, scanning the energy readings as they approached. The hum intensified, sending a gentle but insistent vibration through their bodies, like a heartbeat waking after a long sleep. One of the pods in the center of the chamber began to open slowly. A soft mist escaped, shimmering in the glow of the floating devices. Inside, a figure stirred, moving as if awakening from a deep dream. The crew held their breath. This was the first of the missing members to return, a glimpse of the lives the Endeavor had preserved all these years. The figure sat up, eyes blinking as it adjusted to the light. Recognition flashed in their gaze as they looked at the boarding team, but confusion and fear were also evident. Where am I?" the crew member whispered. The voice was weak, but alive. They had survived decades in stasis, untouched. By time, yet the shock of awakening was clear. Captain Rylan approached carefully, keeping his tone calm. "You are safe," he said. "The ship brought you back. We've been trying to understand what happened." The returning crew member studied him, their eyes slowly taking in the familiar but changed surroundings. They sensed the ship's presence, aware that the Endeavor itself was more than a vessel. Dr. Kale scanned the pod. "The energy used to preserve them, it's incredible. This is technology beyond comprehension. The ship did this on its own, choosing when and whom to awaken." The realization hit the team. The Endeavor was not merely guiding or protecting its crew. It had control over life, time, and space in ways humanity could barely imagine. More. Pods began to hum, one by one, as the Endeavor signaled the next awakening. Crew members who had vanished decades ago slowly rose, confused but unharmed. Some remembered flashes of distant stars, alien signals, and impossible journeys. The visions were brief but left a lasting impression. The ship had shown them parts of the universe that humans were not meant to see. Lieutenant Mara helped a newly awakened crew member to their feet. "You've been preserved," she said softly. "The ship kept you safe." The crew member's eyes widened as they tried to process the meaning of those words. It chose?" they asked. "It decided we should live?" Captain Rylan nodded. "Yes. And now we must learn why it returned, why it preserved you, and what it expects from us next." The crew understood that the Endeavor was not simply a ship. It was a force with intent, intelligence, and power beyond human reckoning. As the last pod opened, the ship pulsed with energy, casting intricate patterns across the chamber. The awakened crew looked around in awe and fear, realizing that the universe they knew had changed. The Endeavor had returned, it had preserved life, and it had awakened them for a purpose they could not yet comprehend. Captain Rylan felt a chill as he addressed the entire team. "This is only the beginning. The ship has plans, and we are now part of them. We must be careful, but we must also be ready. The universe is waiting, and the Endeavor has shown us that nothing is impossible." Outside the ship, the alien vessels from earlier remained in silent formation, observing. Inside, the first awakened crew members took tentative steps, discovering that their return was not just survival, it was an invitation. The Endeavor had begun a new chapter, and the story of its crew, its technology, and its mysteries was entering. A dangerous, thrilling, and unforgettable phase. The awakening of the missing crew brought excitement and unease, but the Endeavor had more secrets to reveal. As the team worked to stabilize the ship and care for the returning crew, the floating devices began pulsing in a new, deliberate rhythm. It was different from before, more structured, almost like a language waiting to be understood. Dr. Kyle leaned over his scanner, eyes widening. "Captain, it's sending something. A message." The readings showed energy patterns fluctuating in precise sequences. They weren't random. The Endeavor was communicating, but in a way that no human had ever encountered. The symbols and pulses seemed to encode knowledge, warnings, and instructions all at once. Lieutenant Mara tried to interpret the signals visually. On the observation deck, glowing patterns emerged from the ship's panels, forming shapes that resembled maps, symbols, and constellations. Each pulse was timed perfectly, as if the ship was deliberately choosing which information to reveal. "It's guiding us," she said softly. "It wants us to understand something, or go somewhere." Captain Ryland frowned. "But what? And who or what is sending the message?" The crew realized that the signals were not originating from the Endeavor alone. They seemed linked to the alien ships that had been shadowing them since the return. The universe itself was speaking, through technology far beyond human understanding. Suddenly, a pattern of light formed a three-dimensional projection in the middle of the deck. It showed a distant star system, unfamiliar and glowing with unusual energy. A path of bright lines led to a specific planet. Dr. Cale's jaw dropped. "It's a destination," he whispered. "The ship, or whoever is behind this, wants us to go there." The crew debated the risks. Following an unknown signal into uncharted space could be a trap, yet the allure of discovering the source of the Endeavor's intelligence and perhaps learning the purpose behind the missing crew was impossible to resist. Every member felt the weight of the decision. The ship had chosen them, and now it was calling them forward. Lieutenant Mara noticed something else in the patterns, smaller pulses that seemed to respond to the thoughts and emotions of the crew. "It's aware of us," she said. "It knows what we're thinking, and it's reacting." The Endeavor was no longer just a vessel or a guardian. It had become an active participant, guiding and testing them at every turn. Captain Ryland stood in silence, studying the holographic projection. "If we follow this, we may uncover the true purpose of the Endeavor," he said, voice steady but heavy with caution. "But we must be prepared for anything. This message, it is not a request. It is an instruction, and we cannot ignore it." As the team prepared for the journey, the ship pulsed once more, sending a wave of energy through every corridor and deck. The message had been received, but it was only the beginning. The Endeavor was calling them into the unknown, a place where danger, discovery, and power waited. And somewhere far away, the intelligence behind the ship's return watched, guiding them toward a destiny that no human had ever imagined. The crew exchanged determined glances. Their journey was about to continue, deeper into space, following the messages from the unknown. The Endeavor had returned not just to be studied, it had returned to lead them into the heart of a mystery that could change everything they knew about life, technology, and the universe itself. With the alien message decoded and the holographic star map in front of them, the crew of the Endeavor prepared to leave the safety of the Empire's fleet. Captain Ryland stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch endlessly before them. The pulse of the ship beneath their feet seemed to match the rhythm of their hearts, as if the Endeavor itself was eager to move forward. Lieutenant Mara secured the navigation console, double-checking the coordinates projected by the ship. "We don't know what we'll find at the destination," she said quietly. "But we've been chosen to go there. The ship brought us back for a reason." Dr. Cale nodded, adjusting his instruments to monitor the alien energy signatures that seemed to guide them. Every reading confirmed one thing. The Endeavor was alive, aware, and fully in control of this journey. The alien ships that had shadowed them since their return hovered nearby, observing silently. Their presence was unnerving, but Captain Rylan refused to see it as a threat, at least not yet. "They're part of this," he said. "If the ship is guiding us, they're probably here to ensure we follow the correct path." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, aware that they were stepping into a situation far beyond human understanding. As the Endeavor left known space, the familiar stars of the Empire faded into darkness, replaced by constellations no one had seen before. The ship's systems adapted instantly to the alien coordinates, recalibrating navigation and shielding to handle unknown energy fields. The floating devices throughout the vessel spun and glowed, pulsing in rhythm with the ship's core, as if providing reassurance to the crew. During the long journey, strange phenomena appeared outside the windows. Bright, shifting lights danced across the void, forming patterns that seemed almost intentional. Occasionally, glimpses of distant structures appeared, vast geometric constructs orbiting unknown suns. The crew could only stare in awe, realizing that the universe was far more vast and strange than anything the Empire had catalogued. Tension built as the ship's pulsing signals began to intensify, sending waves of energy through the corridors. Some crew members reported feeling disoriented, while others experienced vivid flashes of alien landscapes and distant civilizations. The Endeavor was communicating in ways humans were only beginning to understand, teaching, warning, and guiding them simultaneously. Lieutenant Mara approached Captain Rylan. "Do you think it knows what we're ready for?" she asked. "Or is it testing us?" The captain paused, gazing at the stars ahead. "Both, I think. This journey isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about learning, surviving, and proving ourselves worthy of what the Endeavor wants to show us." As the ship glided deeper into uncharted space, the alien vessels followed silently, their glowing hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. The crew understood one undeniable truth. They were no longer mere explorers. They were part of something bigger, a plan, a purpose, and a journey that the Endeavor had chosen for them. The hours turned into days, yet no one complained. Each crew member felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and wonder. They had returned from stasis, witnessed the ship's core, decoded messages from the unknown, and now sailed toward an uncertain future. The Endeavor pulsed steadily beneath them, alive and aware, carrying its crew toward secrets that could change the course of the universe. And as the distant stars stretched before them, Captain Rylan whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning. Whatever awaits us, we will face it together." After days of traveling through uncharted space, the Endeavor approached the destination marked by the alien signal. The star system ahead glowed with unusual energy, unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Its planets shimmered with colors that defied natural explanation, and strange auroras danced across the void. Even the seasoned Empire crew felt awe and fear at the sight. Captain Rylan ordered the ship to slow and hover at a safe distance from the largest planet. "We need to observe first," he said. "Anything could be waiting for us." The floating devices inside the ship glowed brighter as if agreeing, their pulses rhythmically echoing through the corridors. The ship itself seemed alive with anticipation. Suddenly, a light appeared near the planet's orbit, a massive vessel. Unlike the Empire's ships or the alien ships they had seen before, its surface shimmered with translucent panels, glowing softly in patterns that seemed deliberate, almost intelligent. The crew gasped. This was not a hostile fleet. It was something different, something that did not belong to any known species. Lieutenant Mara leaned over the observation deck railing. "It's alive," she whispered. "Not like a ship, more like a being." Dr. Kale's scanner confirmed it. The energy readings, they're similar to the Endeavor's core. This vessel is not mechanical in the human sense. It thinks, it reacts, it communicates. A pulse of light shot from the vessel, forming intricate patterns in space. The Endeavor responded instantly, its devices pulsing in harmony. The projection formed a holographic message, abstract symbols that slowly shifted into shapes the crew could recognize, planets, stars, and humanoid forms. It was an invitation, an introduction. Captain Ryland's voice was steady but full of tension. This is the first contact we've ever had with intelligence beyond the Empire. We must be careful. One wrong move and it could interpret us as a threat. The crew nodded, fully aware that every action mattered. Dr. Kale studied the projection closely. "It's showing us its world," he said. "It wants to communicate. It's testing our understanding and maybe our intentions. The Endeavor guided us here for this reason." The crew realized the magnitude of the moment. They were not just explorers. They were ambassadors for humanity, standing at the edge of a first encounter with a far superior intelligence. The alien vessel pulsed again, sending waves of energy that washed over the Endeavor. The crew felt visions, cities made of light, vast civilizations coexisting in harmony and technology that bent the laws of physics. There was no fear in the vision, only a sense of purpose. The being, or intelligence, was showing them what could be if they were ready to understand. Lieutenant Mara turned to Captain Ryland. "It's offering knowledge," she said, "and maybe trust. But we have to earn it." The captain nodded. "Then we proceed carefully. We learn, we observe, and we communicate. Nothing more." As the Endeavor hovered near the alien vessel, the first formal attempt at communication began. Lights pulsed, devices responded, and the ship itself seemed to understand the exchange. For the first time since its mysterious return, the Endeavor and its crew were no longer alone. Outside the ship, the alien vessel remained calm, observing. Inside, the crew felt a mixture of excitement, fear, and wonder. The first contact was made, and the universe had opened a door that could never be closed. The journey had reached a new stage, one filled with discovery, danger, and the possibility of understanding forces far greater than humanity had ever known. The Endeavor pulsed, in quiet harmony, ready for what came next. The first contact had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. The first contact with the alien vessel changed everything. As the Endeavor hovered nearby, the ship's devices pulsed in synchronization with the distant vessel. It was as if both ships were communicating silently, exchanging knowledge beyond words. Captain Ryland ordered the crew to observe carefully, knowing that the moment held the answers they had been seeking for decades. Lieutenant Mara watched the holographic projections grow clearer. The alien intelligence began revealing the purpose behind the Endeavor's return. The ship was not lost by accident. It had been guided, preserved, and prepared to deliver a message to humanity. Dr. Kale's scans confirmed that the stasis pods, the energy core, and the alien signals were all part of a larger design. The holographic display shifted, showing star systems far beyond the Empire's maps, each marked with glowing nodes. "These are civilizations?" Mara whispered. The projection seemed to nod, emphasizing the connection between planets, technology, and life itself. "The ship preserved its crew and guided you here because you are part of a chain," Dr. Kale realized aloud. "A chain of knowledge. A bridge between worlds." Captain Ryland felt the weight of the revelation. "The Endeavor was never just a ship," he said slowly. "It's a key to understanding something far bigger than the Empire." The alien vessel pulsed in agreement, and the ship's devices glowed brighter, resonating with energy that hummed through the Endeavor. Suddenly, another projection appeared. A figure, humanoid but unlike any human. Its form shifted, translucent and radiant. and it spoke directly into the minds of the crew. "You have awakened," it said. "You have returned because the universe requires understanding. The Endeavor is your guide, and you are now part of its purpose. Protect life, seek knowledge, and respect the balance. Fail, and chaos will follow." The crew exchanged stunned looks. The warnings were clear, and the responsibility immense. Humanity had been chosen not for power or conquest, but for guidance, understanding, and stewardship. The Endeavor's mysterious. Technology was a test, a preparation for the challenges they would face in uncharted space. Dr. Kale tried to process the implications. "All this time we thought the ship was just advanced technology. But it's intelligent. It decides what we see, what we learn, even who lives and who sleeps in stasis." Lieutenant Mara nodded slowly. "It has rules, intentions, and expectations, and now it's showing us the consequences of failing them." Captain Ryland took a deep breath. "We've learned its secrets, at least part of them. But knowledge comes with responsibility. The Endeavor has given us a chance, and now we must act carefully. Every decision we make matters, not just for us, but for the universe it protects." The alien vessel pulsed once more, a silent acknowledgement. The secrets had been revealed, but understanding them fully would take time, courage, and trust in the Endeavor. The ship's intelligence had guided humanity to the brink of something extraordinary, and the crew realized their journey was far from over. Outside, the stars seemed brighter, alive with possibility. Inside the Endeavor, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. The mysteries of the ship were unfolding, and for the first time, they understood that their lives, the missing crew, and the entire mission were connected to a force far greater than themselves. The universe had shared its secrets, and the Endeavor had returned not just to be explored, but to teach, to test, and to lead. The journey had revealed its first truths, but the greatest revelations were yet to come. Even as the crew absorbed the revelations from the alien vessel, a sense of unease settled over the Endeavor. Captain Ryland reviewed the ship's sensors and noticed unusual readings, small fluctuations in energy that did not match the alien vessel or the Endeavor itself. Something else was out there, hidden in the shadows of space, watching, waiting. Lieutenant Mara frowned at the monitors. "Captain, these readings aren't natural. They're deliberate. Someone or something is trying to hide." Dr. Kale checked the systems and confirmed her fears. "It's masking itself from our scanners. Whoever it is, they have technology. On par with the Endeavor, maybe even beyond. And they've been following us." The crew felt a chill. After witnessing the intelligence of the alien vessel and the power of the Endeavor, they knew that any hidden threat was dangerous, unpredictable, and potentially catastrophic. Captain Ryland realized that their journey wasn't just about discovery, it was also about survival. Suddenly, a faint signal appeared on the communication array. It was fragmented, distorted, but unmistakably human in origin. The message was a warning. "Do not trust the ship, the power it carries. It will destroy everything if misused." The voice ended abruptly, leaving only silence. Captain Ryland's jaw tightened. "Someone else knows about the Endeavor, and they fear it. That means we are not the only ones aware of its power. There are enemies, forces who will stop at nothing to claim it or destroy it." Lieutenant Mara's hands shook slightly as she adjusted the sensors. "They've been following us all along, maybe even before the first crew vanished." Dr. Kyle studied the readings carefully. "This hidden threat? It's intelligent. It's tracking the Endeavor and analyzing us. It's patient, calculating, and waiting for the right moment. We won't see it until it chooses to reveal itself." The crew realized that the very return of the Endeavor had drawn attention that could bring war, betrayal, or worse. Captain Ryland addressed the crew, his voice firm. "We've faced mysteries and challenges, but this is different. The hidden threat will test everything we've learned, everything the Endeavor has taught us. We must remain vigilant, united, and ready for anything. As the Endeavor continued toward the distant star system, the hidden threat shadowed them silently. Outside, space seemed calm, but the crew knew the danger was real, close enough to strike if they made a mistake. Every pulse of the ship's core, every flicker of the floating devices, reminded them that power came with responsibility, and that enemies could emerge from the darkness at any moment. The universe, once full of wonder and discovery, now carried a warning. The Endeavor had returned to reveal its secrets, but it had also drawn a predator. The crew had to prepare, to learn quickly, and to trust in the ship that had saved them, while remaining wary of the hidden threat that followed, unseen, yet ever-present. The journey was far from over. Mystery, power, and danger moved together in the void, and the Endeavor's crew realized that every decision they made could determine not just their fate, but the fate of the universe itself. The Endeavor approached the heart of the alien star system, the glowing planet from the messages, with a sense of purpose and tension unlike anything the crew had felt before. Every pulse of the ship's core reverberated through the corridors, as if the vessel itself sensed the significance of the moment. The hidden threat lingered in the darkness of space, still unseen but palpably close, adding weight to every decision. Captain Ryland stood on the bridge, gazing at the luminous planet below. "This is it," he said quietly. "Everything we've experienced has led us here. Whatever secrets the Endeavor carries, we will know soon." Lieutenant Mara tightened her grip on the console. The alien vessel's messages, the stasis pods, everything points to this place. It's like a center, a nexus of knowledge and power. As the ship descended into orbit, the alien vessel pulsed once more, sending a wave of energy that enveloped the Endeavor. The holographic projections appeared again, this time more vivid, forming a massive map of connected star systems, energy flows, and sentient life across the galaxy. At the center of it all was the Endeavor's core, glowing, brighter than ever, a beacon of intelligence, choice, and potential. Suddenly, the hidden threat revealed itself. A massive shadowy vessel emerged from the void, its design strange and menacing. It fired a warning pulse, disrupting the Endeavor's sensors and shaking the ship. Captain Ryland barked orders, and the crew worked in perfect coordination, trusting. The ship's guidance as floating devices spun rapidly, protecting the vessel with a shield of unknown energy. Then came the revelation. The alien vessel, glowing and serene, projected a final message. The Endeavor is the key. It carries the wisdom of civilizations, the power to preserve or destroy. The hidden threat seeks to exploit it for chaos. You, humans, have been chosen to understand, protect, and use this power responsibly. Your choices will shape the balance of the universe. The crew realized the full weight of their mission. The missing crew, the stasis pods, the ship's intelligence, and the alien vessel's guidance all had led to this moment. The Endeavor had returned not by accident, but by design, to challenge humanity to rise to a responsibility far beyond their understanding. Captain Ryland took a deep breath. "We know what we must do," he said. "We protect the ship, learn its secrets, and face this threat. We are the guardians now, not conquerors, not pawns, but guardians of a power that can change everything." The crew nodded, united, ready to confront both the hidden enemy and the mysteries that lay ahead. The shadowy vessel advanced, and the Endeavor pulsed with energy in response, its devices spinning faster, almost as if awakening fully for the first time. The final battle had not yet begun, but the revelation had prepared the crew. Knowledge, courage, and unity would be their weapons. As the alien planet glowed below and the hidden threat loomed above, Captain Ryland whispered, "This is our test, and we will not fail. The universe waited, silent and vast, as the Endeavor and its crew embraced their destiny. The journey that began with disappearance, mystery, and stasis had reached its climax, but the story of the Endeavor was only truly beginning.